It's a major investment by the federal government to support Hurricane Harvey recovery programs in Texas. Today, the Department of Housing and Urban Development pledged an additional $652 million to that effort. Our Taylor Alanese has the story now, including reaction from Governor Greg Abbott. Taylor?
Joe, the announcement came after Governor Abbott met with HUD Secretary Ben Carson today in Washington. Those millions in funding will go towards housing recovery needs so Texans can rebuild their homes. Rebuilding continues even more than a year and a half since Hurricane Harvey devastated our coastline. You may remember Texas Land Commissioner George P. Bush recently visited a Rockport home that was being constructed for a family who lost everything. Governor Greg Abbott had this to say during a conference call with media today.
We are working to make sure that these resources will be allocated in a way that will help those affected rebuild quickly.
Combined, HUD is investing more than $5.7 billion to address the remaining needs of Texans following Hurricane Harvey. And Harvey continues to rank among the nation's costliest disasters. Joe?
Taylor, thank you.